Okay, I would like to ask everyone if they have a cell phone present, if you could put it in the silent mode. I'd appreciate it. And at this time, we'll call the Planning Commission meeting of October 7th to order. And we'll ask Mr. Barkarian back from his vacation to do our pledge.
Please stand, face our flag, place your right hand above your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. It's good to be back home.
Okay, Chris, could you do me a roll call, please?
Okay, Commissioner Wolf.
Present by phone.
Commissioner Rexstad. Commissioner Markarian.
Present.
Commissioner Fellens. Commissioner Brzee.
Present by phone.
Vice Chair Work. And Chair Algauer.
Here.
And then we did receive notice from the commissioners that are not present that they were not going to be available due to other issues.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Do we have any public comments, Ben?
No public comment has been provided on items not on the agenda.
Okay. Anyone have anything on the consent agenda they would like to?
The only item on the consent agenda is the meeting minutes from July 1st, 2020.
Okay. Okay, with that, we get a motion on our minutes from the July 1st meeting. You weren't here, were you, Mark?
I was here, actually. I was here in person. And is this better? There you go.
Yep.
I was here in person, and I wanted to make sure that the first paragraph reads that it was held on June 17, 2020. So I was very excited to be here in person before I left. I wanted to make sure that we make that correction before we approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion. We have roll call.
We'll need a second on that.
Okay. We're good.
Okay.
All right.
Wolf will second.
Okay, all those in
Did
favor?
you hear me?
Yes, we did, and we'll do a roll call for the vote.
Commissioner Wolf.
Aye.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Do I have to read them all? Or just the ones here? Commissioner Rexstad. Commissioner Markarian.
Aye.
Commissioner Fellens. Commissioner Brzee.
Aye.
Vice Chair Work. And Chair Algauer.
Aye. Okay. Approve the consent agenda, and then we'll move right into, see, the first item we have on the agenda. Let's see, we have case number 20049. Looks like a general plan amendment.
That's correct. Yeah, this is a public hearing for case number 20-049. It's a general plan amendment, including ordinance number 396, to change the land use designation of a property from general commercial to the city's RM 72C land use district. It's part of a conditional use permit to density bonus agreement, and architecture review is also submitted to permit a 32-unit senior housing project. And then as part of the project approval, several variances are also proposed to reduce some of the setback and lot coverage requirements as a result of the adjacent commercial development. And then this is located on a vacant parcel directly behind 34380 Yucaipa Boulevard, which is the Kucha's restaurant off Yucaipa Boulevard. So this is directly adjacent to the Fifth Street Marketplace and the Stater Brothers Shopping Center, catty corner to that. And then there is residential land uses behind the property that is adjacent to it. So this project essentially would extend that general planned multifamily land use district to the subject parcel from the adjoining residential land use. Now, as part of it, as I mentioned, is a 32-unit senior housing project, and then there's a density bonus agreement proposed, or a density bonus proposed to increase the density to 17.2 dwelling units per acre. All the units are the same size. They're one-bedroom units, and then they all provide private yard space either on the ground floor or as a patio on the second floor units as the required amenities. And then as part of the site, there's also a clubhouse and other recreational amenities proposed, including a pet park, covered terraces, and a landscape courtyard that would serve those residences. As part of it, they do provide the required parking under state law under SB 744, and so that provide the space for each unit. And then there's also a Lyft or Uber type of drop-off and pickup along the eastern side of the project site. And then it also provides pedestrian access to the surrounding commercial uses. So those that live in the center will be able to walk to the grocery store and other neighborhood serving type retail uses in the direct vicinity of that project. And then as noted, there is 3 variances that are proposed. One is for the front yard setback along the southern property line, side yard setback for the western property line, and then for the total lot coverage, which I'll explain further. As noted, all the floor plans are the same for the proposed project. They consist of 919 square feet for each respective unit, and then provides a private yard space for those residences. And then as listed on the site plan, it also provides the required amenities in the city's development code for each respective unit as well. And as part of the project, they are submitting architectural review for the project. And so on the screen shows just briefly the elevations for the proposed project. And then a color materials board has also been passed around, and it shows the different materials, some more modern type of architecture style to kind of tie in with the existing Fifth Street Marketplace facade improvements that are currently under construction. And so it allows some cohesion with that design, but also recognizing as a residential project, other design elements kind of tie in with that component as well. And then conceptual landscaping is also shown, and I provided a color rendering in the PowerPoint presentation, but shows good buffering of landscaping around the project site adjacent to the commercial uses, and then plenty of recreational space within the interior of the project to serve the residences that would live in the project. And then the applicant has also, or the applicant's team has provided renderings of the proposed project as well to give some context or kind of visual design of what the proposed project will look like. So I didn't cover the variances as much. So I'll just kind of briefly touch on the 3 different variances that are proposed relate to the existing commercial uses. Essentially, as a existing general commercial project, they're allowed to go up to 0-foot property line. And then as an interior lot, they could also go to the zero lot setback for that. In this case, because it is being rezoned to multiple family residential, it would then be subject to the city's RM land use districts. However, right now, there's existing drive aisles along the eastern and northern portion of the site that's required for the existing commercial uses adjoining the site. And then there's also a sewer easement, so the fact that there's existing drive aisles that are serving other properties around the site pushes the building envelope closer to those respective property lines, and then also increases the overall lot coverage. And so the variances are to address that existing condition that is unique to this particular property and not other residential properties within the city's RM land use district. And then finally, as part of the required CEQA or California Environmental Quality Act review, a mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project. The MND did find that all impacts were below a level of significance. And then this MND was also routed to the state clearinghouse, to state agencies, was also noticed in the News Mirror and also posted on the city's website. And through that environmental review, or the required 30-day public notice of that environmental review, no comments were received either by members of the public or outside agencies. Now, as noted, this is a general plan amendment to change the land use designation from general commercial to residential. And so with that action, it does require city council approval. And so this proposed project is to receive a recommendation from the Planning Commission for City Council decision. And so City Council will be the ultimate deciding body for the proposed project. And then I provided some site photos that just show the existing context of the site. As noted, this is almost a type of horizontal mixed-use project, so it's residential tied in with other commercial uses and provides a good connectivity with those uses. And so this is how that site has been designed to function, is to leverage some of that existing commercial uses for that benefit. And so with that, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing and recommend approval of the project to City Council. I am happy to answer any questions, and that the project applicant and their representative team is also here to answer any questions of the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Ben. Any of the commissioners have questions or for staff at this time?
I have a question about the setback. Do we have other buildings that have the variance setback as low as this one? That was my only concern, is the setback is so low, but you said this is done before?
Other projects have had reductions of their setback based on their physical constraints. Kind of the unique component with this project, one, the front yard setback is being closer because the front yard setback normally is adjacent to a public right-of-way. In this case, it's adjacent to another property that's already developed. And so the distance between the structures are over 100 feet, but because it's the front yard area as defined by our development code, approaches further. And then for the western property line, it is a little bit closer. They did provide some screening and buffer, but it's adjacent to another commercial project. And then if it was hypothetically a commercial development project that was being proposed, they could also go to zero setback. And so they wouldn't have any setback in that type of project. In this case, they're providing a buffer because of the type of land use that's proposed.
Okay, just a question, Ben, we're going from a residential or commercial to residential. Isn't there something that there has to be a swap where we have to do equal or?
I think the components you're referencing is some of the no net loss provisions under state law, under SB 330, and that's a loss or downzoning of an existing residential use for something else. So if you're removing a residential capacity of a site, you have to make up that capacity elsewhere. In this case, we're adding more residential units to the city, and so hypothetically, it could actually absorb another project that downzoned because we would maintain that overall no net loss provision. So
Okay.
the state's happy to add more residential units. They don't want you to take away the capacity of residential units.
Okay, thank you. At this point, any other commissioners? Not hearing any. Okay, would the applicant like to make a presentation? Okay, that's fine. Do we have any public comments?
No public comment slips have been received for this particular item.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing and move to the commissioners.
I'm ready to make a motion. That
Do we have
recommend-
anything from any other commissioners want to weigh in on anything before we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Bart Brazee. I just wanted to note for the record that I did receive a copy of the color palette and also have been following along with the PowerPoint during the presentation. So I wanted to note that for the record. Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
All right, then. I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the city council to accept case number 20-049 as it's been presented.
I'll second the motion. Wolf.
We have a second by Mr. Wolf. Do we have any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor, give me a roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Rekstad, Commissioner Markarian,
All right?
Commissioner Felenz, Commissioner Brazee,
Aye.
Vice Chair Work, and Chair Algauer.
Aye. Did we get, how many ayes did we get ayes?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, so it passes unanimously for those that are present.
Okay. All right, with that, motion pass. Okay, we'll move to item number 3 on the agenda. And that's a planning use permit to establish 19-unit multifamily residential complex.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Maddie. I'm the new Assistant Planner, and I'll be presenting case number 20059 PUP to establish a 19-unit multifamily residential complex on a 2.4-acre property at the northwest corner of 18th Street and Avenue E. The applicant is present, Ophira Lenhart, tonight to answer any questions that you may have. So as I mentioned, the site is located on a 2.4-acre property. It's a relatively flat vacant land. The arrows on the graphics above point towards the location of the property. The land use is designated as RM, multifamily residential, and the surrounding land uses to the east and west are also designated as multifamily residential. North, we have service commercial, which is a vacant property, the future site of the Yucaipa Point project, which has previously been approved. And south of the property, we have community industrial zoning. There's some prior history associated with this project. Back in February of 2017, the Planning Commission approved case number 16059, which was a conditional use permit with exactly the same specs as this current project for a 19-unit family complex on 2.4-acre property. That entitlement also included a lot line adjustment, which was case number 16106, and it moved the property line to its existing location, which is farther south. The fence currently on the property line, which I'll try to point to with this laser pen, is right here, and that is the old property line. The entitlement expired on February 27th of this year, and a 3-year time extension was not appropriately filed, so therefore we are conducting the process over again. PUP was submitted instead of a conditional use permit pursuant to Section 83 of the Municipal Code. There's some requirements outlined that if findings are met, you may submit a PUP instead of a CUP. This is the site plan. There's 19 units located within 6 different buildings that have 2 to 5 units per building. Each unit is 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom floor plan with a 2-car garage and a private yard with a minimum of 100 square feet of open space per unit. There's a picnic area, open space, and play fields on the property. It will be surrounded by a block wall. The sides with street frontage will have a more decorative block wall. And the interior side walls will just be more standard design. The 19 units comply with our multifamily residential design standards, including density, setbacks, parking, open space, dwelling unit size, and amenities. I can confirm some of those. They're detailed in the staff report, but the density of the property will be 8 dwelling units per acre. The setbacks will be 30 feet in the front, 20 on the side. The street side will be 25 feet, and the rear is 59. 80 parking spaces will be provided. 45.1% of the total site will be open space. The bedroom units are 1,179 square feet per unit. And as well, some amenities included for each unit will be a garbage disposal, dishwasher, courtyard, air conditioner, garage door, and laundry hookups. A monument sign will be on the main entrance of the property. A landscape drainage basin will be placed along the northwest corner, and street improvements will be made along specifically Avenue E. A lot of the street improvements on 18th Street have already been complete. Here are some of the elevations. Materials board has also been provided. The architecture style is contemporary with somewhat of a craftsman farmhouse feel. Some more elevations and some renderings of the units themselves as well as the play area. This is the landscape plan. Plants were selected that are complementing to the city's water conservation plan as well. These are some graphics of the block walls that I discussed earlier. The decorative frontage wall has pilasters separating as well as some landscaping elements. It will be offset, kind of add some dimension, and the perimeter wall around the interior of the property will just be one color and a little bit more standard. Environmental review, so pursuant to CEQA, this project shall be exempt because is an infill development of less than 5 acres within a developed portion of the city. And again, this is the same determination as the original approval, as the site plan presented, and the architectural elements are exactly the same as the entitlement, which was previously approved in 2016. We received one public comment from the project. It was a neighbor who was concerned that there might be increased traffic and that this greater congestion could lead to damage to vehicles which are parked along Avenue E. These are some site photos. You can see the existing single-family residence somewhat on the photo at the bottom. And so it is our recommendation that the Planning Commission approve this planning use permit and move forward with this project.
Okay, with that, any commissioners have questions for staff at this time? Okay, did the applicant wish to make a?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Patty Ingram, Yucaipa Valley Engineering. As stated by staff, this project was previously approved in 2017. It is the exact same project. Unfortunately, due to some personal situations with the family, they were unable to proceed with the filing for the extension. However, at that point in time, all the improvement plans for the grading, for the street improvements, and the architectural those were ready for signature with the city, and the architectural drawings were ready for submittal for the project. So we refiled when it became available for the family to refile. They had some issues with who could file and the ownership. So once those were settled, then they refiled with the exact same project. You would see it as a different name just because the wife took over the project. So anyway, it is basically the same. We are happy that we can be compatible too with the new project to the north. And we meet all of the zoning requirements. We require no variances, no bonuses. It's strictly meeting all the code on this project. And so with that, I would just be available for questions if you have any, but otherwise we're in agreement with staff's recommendations.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant or his representative at this time?
The only question I have is, if everything goes well, God willing, what kind of timeline are you looking at?
We will be submitting the street plans and grading plans for signature and bonding, I would assume within the next couple of months, and the architectural plans will be in review with building and safety. So I would hope that we could start the grading within just a few months by the time
Beautiful.
we get everything.
Thank you, Patty. With that, do we have any public comment?
No public comment slips have been received on this particular item.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing. We'll move it to the commissioners. Any questions with commissioners? Any comments?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Make a motion, buddy.
No one else has a comment on the lines? I'd like to make a motion that we approve case number 20-059, a PUP, with the recommendations noted in item number 3.
Do I hear a second? I'll second the motion. With that, second, any comments? Okay, Chris, give me a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Reckstad, Commissioner Markarian,
Yes.
Commissioner Fellens, Commissioner Brzee,
Yes.
Vice Chair Work, and Chair Algauer.
Yes. Motion passes. Project moves on. Thank you, Patty. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a CUP for the Point Unified Commercial Center at the bottom of the boulevard. Ben, you'd like to take this one?
That I will. Before you is case number 20-065. It's a revision to the original case number 18-129, the conditional use permit for the Yucaipa Point Unified Commercial Center. This specifically is a revision to incorporate some changes to the tenant mix, including the addition of a medical office facility in lieu of a movie theater, and then also to incorporate the existing mobile gas station at the corner of Avenue E and Yucaipa Boulevard into the project as well. So the project itself is comprised of approximately 24 gross acres within the city's CS land use district. It's bounded by 18th Street along the east, Avenue E on kind of the west or portions of Interstate 10 as well, and then is south of Yucaipa Boulevard. The site itself has been previously graded as a result of the current grading activities for the originally approved project, as well as prior fill materials that were provided in around 2010. And then the site is currently undergoing grading activity with that current entitlement in place. Now for a bit of background, case number 18-129 was submitted for Plan Commission recommendation on October 16th, 2019, so almost 1 year ago to the day, and then was approved by the City Council at their regular meeting of November 25th, 2019. Now, the project itself did include a few different entitlement applications at the time, which included the conditional use permit for the overall shopping center, a tentative parcel map, which would subdivide each kind of commercial pad area into its own respective lot for ownership purposes. Also included a minor general plan amendment to rezone portions of the service commercial land use district to align with the overall project development plan. Also included architectural review for several of the known pads, which included a Chick-fil-A restaurant, a Quick Quack car wash, LA Fitness, a Chipotle restaurant, and others. Also included a overall sign master plan, which would govern the future signage for each individual tenant, as well as common monument signs that would be placed around the perimeter, as well as a freeway-oriented commercial sign on site. The conceptual landscaping plan, which established the landscape palette for the project. And then the project approval also included the adoption of an MND pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. Now, this project itself is to revise some portions of the site based on kind of the market demands that are currently in place. So I'll try to cover 3 different spots where changes are proposed. The most kind of notable is at the east end of the site, now defined as Area B, which is the replacement of a shops building, which included some retail and restaurant uses, as well as a movie theater with 975 seats. Instead, to have a 60,000 square foot medical office for a proposed Kaiser Permanente facility that would be there instead. And then at the far west end of the site, at the corner of Avenue E and Yucaipa Boulevard, is the incorporation of a redevelopment of the gas station that's there. Currently, the project applicant is in negotiations for the mobile gas station, and so they have, as part of this project revision, included that so that should those negotiations materialize and be finalized, that change to the project is therefore consistent with the original project approval, so they have included that. And then to accommodate that proposed gas station redevelopment, and the corner entry treatments that would happen along Avenue E to fully encapsulate that existing pad corner into the project. They would also relocate an existing sit-down or proposed sit-down restaurant along the area, which is the third triangle kind of in the middle of the center towards the rear of the site or the south end of the site. Now, as I noted, the applicant is in negotiations for the mobile gas station, and however, until that is finalized, they have submitted 2 alternative site design elements for the project should that negotiations not materialize. One is to maintain the existing proposed project design, which is having the restaurant pad at that corner location adjacent to the mobile gas station, or alternatively to have a fuel station proposed there, as well as they finalize negotiations with different tenants. And so that's just requested to provide some flexibility as those discussions further move forward. And then finally, they have submitted an architecture review specifically for the Kaiser Medical Office Building facility. It's a 3-story structure design that would be meet the development code requirements. A color materials board is also provided for commission review. It has a bit more of a institutional design element to it, just because it is a medical office building, and so it has been designed to suit those prerequisite requirements. Kind of the one thing of note that I wanted to add as part of the design, its big draw or big component to the front facade is a big glass feature at the entryway adjacent to the porte cochere for the project site, and kind of patio area that would be provided. As part of that glass facade, a portion of that would feature perforated metal design along the glass, and then it would feature a custom design that's made specifically for the city of Yucaipa. So as part of Kaiser Permanente, they would do an outreach program to create a specific design on that metal component over the glass that was designed specifically for the city of Yucaipa through that outreach program. So they would try to find a motif or design element that is driven by the community to develop that as part of one of their features. As they finish the building design, they want to have a piece of Yucaipa that's specifically to that area. And then I've provided some renderings showing the site. As I mentioned, the rendering on the left of the PowerPoint presentation is what would be within the interior of the site or the entryway for the actual medical office. And then the other rendering on the right-hand side is the one that would be facing against Yucaipa Boulevard. As part of the building or the site plan for the project, there is a substantial landscape setback from Yucaipa Boulevard that's provided, and a great elevation shift that does lower the building as well, so that will tie in with the rest of the proposed conceptual landscaping for the project and allow it to blend harmoniously with the overall Yucaipa Point project as well. And then as part of the environmental review, as I noted before, MND was adopted for the original project and found that all impacts would be below a level of significance. As part of the MND, several different technical studies were provided and prepared that also further expanded upon those specific environmental topics. Further, the MND also covered a larger scope of the project. So the impacts that would have actually been less than what was stated within the MND with the original approved CUP site plan. However, the proposed project does make some minor changes to the project that was not originally anticipated, including the addition of the fuel station to the site and then the incorporation of a medical office instead of a movie theater. And so because of those changes, an addendum to the MND was prepared to address and accommodate those changes in the environmental record. However, no significant environmental changes have occurred that altered the overall conclusions. So the project impacts remain the same, just the discussion or the key components of what those impacts are were slightly tweaked as a result of the modified site plan, but overall the project remains, no new impacts have resulted from the proposed revisions, and so the addendum is the appropriate CEQA document to accommodate the changes of the proposed project. For the project processing, kind of 2 different things. One, as part of our city's project notice period, we did receive 1 project notice comment from a surrounding property owner requesting that the movie theater remain and not to have a medical office, just so that there's more recreational amenities. It is my understanding, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, that movie theater production or new movie theater sites probably will not be happening, and some of the existing sites may actually be disappearing just because of the impacts to that industry. And then the second component is that the conditions of approval for this particular project do align with the original conditions of approval with the 2019 approval. However, a few additional conditional approval conditions were added in, specifically addressing underground tanks, since the city does have some standard conditions related to underground tanks for fuel stations, and so that was added in. And then a memorandum or a memo was provided from staff this afternoon at the meeting that addresses one additional condition that's related to memorializing some of the MOU for the existing fill materials that were provided on site. So as part of the project site, there was MOUs in place for the previous dirt fill that was provided, and so we are requesting that that condition be added just so that it's memorialized in the project review as well, in addition to that MOU that's already existing. And with that, staff does recommend approval of the project, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and then the project applicant team is also here to answer any questions as well.
Okay, questions for staff. I got one for me. Going from the theater to the medical, how's that impact the traffic? Is that still, the old mitigation is still the same? I mean,
Yeah, the land use with the proposed medical facility and the movie theater before, it's consistent with the zoning. So when the city completed a traffic study as part of the general plan update in 2015, 2016, it modeled that commercial use. So it's for that purpose, it's the same. Recognizing that a movie theater has different peak times, so does a medical facility. So there is no impact in going from one to, or a drastic impact going from a movie theater use to a medical office.
it was the same number of parking spots basically, and
So the number of parking spots have adjusted a little bit accordingly. However, I did want to just quickly note, as part of this revision to the original approval, memorandum or traffic memo prepared by IBI Group was also provided. It essentially found that the PM traffic count, so the evening traffic count would actually decrease with the proposed revision, but then the morning kind of earlier day traffic would increase because you have a medical office rather than more of a nighttime use. However, those overall changes still remain within the roadway capacity and intersection capacity for the shopping center. So it creates no new impacts on how the traffic works. It just kind of shifts some of the car influx to the center a little bit more to the earlier part of the day for the office use rather than a movie theater, which is more active at night.
okay. Anyone else have any questions for staff at this time?
JR, I have a question. Well,
Go ahead, Mr. Wolf.
the medical facility, is it going to be used as just offices, like accounting and records and billing, or is it going to be used as an actual medical facility with doctors and nurses? Do you guys know that yet?
The proposed site plan for the floor plans itself do identify it will include medical offices. So it would provide services for doctors and nurses, but it would not be a hospital. So it would not have like a emergency room or that type of operation. It'd be more just if you have to see your doctor for something, either your general practitioner or, or other types of specialized care, it would be within that facility, but it would not be a actual hospital where, people are delivering babies or other kind of more emergent issues are occurring.
Okay, and then my second question is, does this at all, these changes, and with what's going on with COVID and light of us moving on from a movie theater to the medical offices, does this do anything to the LA Fitness building? Or are they still keeping that?
No revisions as part of this particular entitlement show that changing, but the applicant team can probably provide more information on other tenants.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, did the applicant wish to make a presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. Tom Robinson, Vantage One Real Estate. Before I forget to answer the LA Fitness question, prior to COVID, they were almost done with, almost ready to pull their building permit. COVID hit, and they said, once we are able to open again, we're going to restart. They were gearing up, putting out whatever fires they had across the country and getting ready to get to their construction projects, and the second wave hit. We're waiting for this second reopening to happen, and once that happens, my understanding is they're moving forward, but I can't guarantee that. I mean, hopefully the lockdown will stop very soon. We have LA Fitness, another center we have in Highland, and they're anticipating opening hopefully soon. They were opening last week, but it's probably going to be in the next month or so, hopefully. And we're excited about the project. I know the focus has been on movie theater. There's been, talk about that before COVID. We were trying to get a movie theater, and it was extremely difficult. And we had council members were involved going to ICSC. The trade area is just a little small to have a movie theater, and one of the things that hurt us is they're opening one, and that may not be opening anymore in Banning and Beaumont. I even have heard rumors that the one in downtown Redlands is not going to reopen. But those are rumors. What I have heard from the industry and reading is potentially there won't be a new movie theater built over the next 10 years. There'll be more movie theaters closed. Unfortunately, not only people will just be a little scared to go back, but the saturation of all these theaters and trying to make a comeback. Regal just closed 2,500 locations, and it's not a good industry right now, unfortunately. For us in the shopping center, one of the things the medical building does, and it is medical offices, it brings a tremendous amount of people in and out of the center like a movie theater would do, and it's great daytime traffic, and it helps with our other, if LA Fitness does go away, it helps with securing our other anchor. So it's a great thing. It'll bring a lot of jobs to the area. It'll bring great service to the community also. One of the other things I'm excited about, which sort of it's a gas station. Everybody drives by it. Everybody's seen it. The site is completely undersized. The city had been in a dispute with Mobile for years and years and years over the easement and the right-of-ways. When we accomplish it, then we can finish that roadway improvement in front of this shopping center. And Mobile knows this, so I'm not insulting anyone when I say this. It's an eyesore right now, and we're building a beautiful center behind it, and we want to have a beautiful entry to the city right there also. So I'm excited about that portion of it also, and I can answer any other questions the commissioners may have.
Any commissioners have any questions for the applicant at this time? Here are none. Thank you, sir.
This is Wolf.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to tell him thank you
Oh,
for the
okay.
explanation.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any public comments?
Yes.
We received one public comment slip for a Miss Kathy Kennison.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Kathy Kennison. I am here to speak for my son, Brian Corder.
Can you, yeah.
For Brian Corder, who lives at 31694 Avenue E in Yucaipa, regarding the Vantage One Real Estate Investments. There is an easement that is behind my son and several of the properties of that property that has been used for over 50-plus years. It's a dirt road that has been, and what it allows them to access the back of their property. Some of the property owners have horses and animals. And I'm sorry, I wrote this down. Vantage One, around August 13th, put up a fence around that property. And the fence butts right up to my son's property. In fact, he can't even open his gate now, and all the other properties as well. There was no letter sent, no notice of anything was said to any of the property owners when they put this fence up, and which took the access road away from them. So a lady presently has horses on that property. There's trailers back there, and they're not able to pull these trailers out in the front of their property. I just wanted to let the city know that, that nothing has been resolved with Vantage One Real Estate. They are talking and hoping to come up with a reasonable solution for this. They're talking about allowing them to keep that access road.
Is that a deeded easement?
I'm not sure. What did you ask?
Okay, on your deed, there should be, if you have access from that property, it would be a deeded easement. And if it's not a deeded easement and you've been using it for however long, then you'd be looking at a prescriptive easement, and that would be a court action. That's something we could not do at this level.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to let the city know what was going on with that my son has talked to Mr. Tom Robinson. Oh, Mr. Thomas Robinson. They're in contact with each other about that dirt road that goes through there. So I just wanted to bring it in front of the city.
Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Okay, did she have a slip or? All right, go ahead.
I don't have a slip for her.
Go ahead.
I would like to say that I'm one of the property owners on Avenue E that butts up to that piece of property. And for the last 15 years, I've been getting hay delivered for my horses. And now I have no access to that back road. No, I do not believe in all the things that I have looked at. There is a deeded piece of property that says that we have access to that. We have been using that, I think, for over 30 years because I have gone back and looked at what other residents on that street have been looking at, and we all agree and have. Now, I was told, and this is just a bypass, that if you have pictures that was actually being used for a long period of time, please bring them forward. Now, basically, I don't know of anyone that goes out and takes pictures of their back lot being accessed by a veterinarian, by people that service your property to cut your lawn or your pasture, by the farrier that comes to take care of your horse, or the delivery guy that brings the hay. I happen to be 75 years old. I need someone to bring my hay to me. I cannot do it. Now, I know it doesn't affect a lot of people here. Most people don't have horses. I've had them all my life. They're my family. And we didn't get any notice at all that there was going to be a fence put up that we could not access to our own property. Something that when I bought my property, that road was there. I thought it was, really thought it was something that I could depend on forever. Never occurred to me once the last time this came up to council that perhaps it wasn't deeded. Who would have thought it? That's when I bought the property, I asked, can we get access to the back? And they said, sure. Well, was pretty rotten to find a fence that I could not no longer get access to my horses. I have been having to pay people to carry 2 bales of hay at a time just to get to the back. Now, it's just me, but there are other people, and we're not asking much. We're only asking for a concession for a small easement to put our properties in line with what we've been living with. I would be much happier with the arrangements of everything that's going forward. I never ever thought to never thought once that I could, that I would have to come up here and talk to you guys about something that I thought was basically there by the city. The city mowed it every once in a while. The property owners back and forth, I know I have had that maintained. And all of a sudden, we're told, no.
Okay, well, we appreciate your comments, but again,
Yes,
we're back
I
to,
heard you.
without the deeded easement, you'd be looking at prescriptive easement, which I'm not an attorney, you'd have to consult
Well-
a different avenue for that particular item. So we
I
thank you for your comment, though.
I appreciate you listening to me, and I'm hoping that Mr. Robinson will listen also, and perhaps we can come to some kind of agreement.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you for
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, what?
I'm thinking the comments, and I just want to add, and I don't want to act like I'm an attorney or I know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you both would understand that the property is owned by someone else, and they have property rights, just like you have property rights. My recommendation would be a start of a conversation, hopefully. And if it needs to be resolved at the court level, then it should be resolved at the court level if it has to be. Obviously, we want to avoid that as much as we can. But as the chairman said here at the Planning Commission, we want to encourage our citizens and our businesses to coexist in a peaceful manner. And from what I see after the fence, if you guys have tried to reach out, hopefully you reach out to the right person. And if you know there's going to be a structure or just part of the development is going to be there, hopefully a resolution would come out of it. So I encourage you to just start a dialogue before you call an attorney, because these guys, they're not the best people in the world. I happen to be an attorney, that's a joke.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing. And we'll move to the commissioners. Any comments, discussion? Mr. Wolf?
You know, when we discussed this project, I don't know how many meetings ago, you know, we talked about the wall and the block wall going up along the property line and kind of trying to make it a little bit nicer for the residents. If I remember correctly, we had people come and speak, and nobody had addressed any type of easement, nor did the city address that with us. So, in every project that they've presented before, that there's been an easement present, that's always been presented to us. I don't think in this case there is. So I agree with Chris that it's, you know, obviously you want to be able to feed your horses and tend your horses and everything else, but, you know, that's something that I think should go through the court. But as far as the city goes, if they own that property, and that's my understanding, then I think they do have that ability to put their wall up where it needs to go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wolf. Anyone else like to weigh in on this one? Okay, with that, do we have any kind of a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the amended project.
Just to confirm, does that include the added condition as well from the memo that was provided at this meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Chris, can you give me a roll call?
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Reckstad, Commissioner Markarian,
Aye.
Commissioner Fellens, Commissioner Brzee,
Yes.
Vice Chair Work, and Chair Algauer.
Aye. Project passes. I think it was 5-1. Okay, that's, takes care. Do we have any, anything?
Yeah, so I guess kind of the first announcement is with great pleasure I introduce Madeline Jordan, or Maddie, she's our new assistant planner that has taken over after Travis Heaps had left, and so I do appreciate Travis's service that he had provided to the city, and excited to have Maddie here. She definitely hit the ball, or hit the ground running, presenting a project on her second week at the city, so.
Well, we'd
we'll
like
hope-
to welcome you, and we look forward to you being here.
And then no meeting will be scheduled for, or the second meeting for October will not be happening for Plan Commission, but there will be a meeting for the first meeting in November. So we will be back in November, and we'll have a few different projects for you guys on that one, and looking forward to it, and hope you guys are all well, and that's all I have.
Okay,
Perfect, thank you.
with that, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can we leave these plans here?